Participate in a conversation with once conservative, now liberal Midwest mastered prepared special education high school teacher and a self-proclaimed devil's advocate, East Coast conservative liberal, baccalaureate prepared registered nurse. These two strangers met, became instant friends, and realized their conversations are candid and epic. So join us weekly, ask us questions, and listen to these profoundly candid friends try to solve the world's problems, one discussion at a time.
Hey. Welcome to another awesome episode. In fact, season 2, as we're going to label it, season 2, episode 1. But nonetheless, welcome to another awesome episode of The New Theory with Monet and Jared, aka TNT with MJ. I am Jared.
I'm Monet.
And together we are teaching minds
and nurturing souls.
Well, Monet, we've taken a few weeks off, and it is just awesome to be able to connect with you again. And
miss you.
See you. I miss you too. But we're going to change up the format a little bit. And so with that being said, I'm going to kick it off to Monet.
Well, considering it's been such a long time since we had our wonderful conversations, our education, our enlightening, you have been one very busy man. And I am so proud of you. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
You have, the questions stem from, I guess, like, how did you start? Let's talk about your passion. So I guess to start with that question, what made, well, let me start over again. Sorry, for those that don't know what's going on, Jared, can you please tell our friends, what are you doing?
Well, as you can see from my background, this is a Facebook event that's scheduled for this coming Saturday, July 24th, where I am holding a rally in a specific part of our Springdale that has historical significance. And we're just simply bringing awareness to and speaking out against legislative attempts that would censor teachers and create an atmosphere of fear for those teachers in regards to teaching honest history and the role of racism in the founding of this country.
Jared, when you say that, for those of us that want change, that want the change and want people to understand the significance of what, quote unquote, teaching the truth is, you are really championing this cause. And actually, literally, you're in the grassroots of this organization and people are reaching out to you. Like, what were some of the media outlets that reached out to you?
I had the Arkansas Times, Democrat Gazette, reach out to me. NPR reached out to me, or our local NPR outlet. There's a program called Ozarks at Large. And so I was featured on that program. Had a local news outlet, KNWA, so Channel 5. No, KNWA is, NBC, the NBC outlet.
Here, where you're
at. Yeah, where we're at. Yeah. It's a local NBC outlet.
In Springdale, right?
Yeah. And they came out and actually interviewed me at the first event that I organized. USA Today reached out to me. I can't quite remember the name of the institute, but it's basically an institute that trains leaders and business leaders and entrepreneurs on effective leadership. And so one of their journalists, investigative journalists, reached out to me. He's doing this podcast series featuring white males who are quote unquote woke with I guess interesting backgrounds, I suppose. And then I just submitted a op-ed to the Hetchinger Report, which focuses on education inequalities.
Now, when we talk about this, sorry, because that was a nice, beautifully long list and it's still growing.
Yeah.
Let's add to it.
Oh yeah, it's an
When we
education
talk about,
project too. They promote me too.
that's right. We talk about these endeavors that you're taking part in, and you're this cause that you're championing and you're leading. It's like, for those that are in the know that want this to happen, because the only benefit is a greater understanding of humanity and growth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it boils down to. But for those that don't, that look at it like, Jared, why are you trying to steal my childhood from me? Why are you trying to steal all I know? There's nothing being stolen from you, Jared. Will reiterate time and time again. It's adding to your foundation, and it's giving you a broader perspective. Period. I mean, Jared, what are you telling these people when they're interviewing you?
Well, the interviews have been stemming around critical race theory, or CRT, and likening what I'm championing to CRT. And it's not.
No. How is it not?
There is two separate things. CRT, or critical race theory, is ultimately, or basically, a theory or a legal theory that examines the role of racism in the legal system and education system.
Okay.
And it's not even a quote unquote course or a subject that is taught, you know. But even then, you're not. Most people won't encounter that until like postgraduate level, if bachelor level, you know, if undergrad level.
Yeah.
And even then, you got to be taking specific courses to encounter that, you know. So be that as it may, is my point being, it's not something taught in public schools.
No.
Period.
Not critical race theory is not taught in school.
It is not taught in schools at
level of education, that level of critical thinking to young minds. All it is,
and even I'll say this, kind of putting it this way. I started out my op-ed with a typical high school classroom scene, you know, and it's a true story. It actually happened, but we were studying Columbus and the Columbian exchange routes, right? And how fantastic and great that was, because it brought everything to the new world, you know. Glossing over listing slaves as commodities, by the way.
Wow.
But other than that, there's no really reference to slavery or anything else like that. But anyway, we're going through that unit. One of my students asked a very innocent question, something to the effect of, did Columbus actually discover America? And
simple.
And so in my op-ed, I was like, no one that just giving the kid the answer is not going to actually educate him. We spent the next couple of days pulling in resources, doing class activities, having class discussions, and examining whether or not he truly did, and then really what the true story is.
Yeah, instead of saying, no, he didn't. But,
right, exactly. Yeah.
Because then that's going to shatter the foundation that he had of Columbus discovered America. So then it's using a form of critical thinking by learning how to research, pull in information, and then say, hey, now what do you think the answer is? With everyone having all of the information in front of them, unanimously the class decided, what was the answer, Jared?
Well, short answer is no, but those class discussions actually led to me actually doing a comparison of the now they didn't know that these, when I first presented them, they didn't know what maps they were. So on one side I had the Columbian exchange routes, and on the other one I had the Atlantic slave trade routes. Okay, and so they didn't know which one it was. And for those that don't know, you'll know by the end of this segment, this little bit here. So I asked my students, what do you see? You know, and they say, a map. I'm like, okay, duh. All right.
Yay.
But seriously,
No,
what do you see?
no, yay. At least you know that.
I give them a little, we kind of tease, and I say I tease. I kind of just make light of it. It's like, well, yes, of course, that's the obvious answer, but that's not what let's go a little bit further than that. What do you see? And they like, well, I see shipping routes, and stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, keep going. And one of them eventually said, and I did this with 3 classes, by the way. And the conversation was always the same.
Yeah.
And one of them eventually says, well, they look the same. Okay. And then, so at this point, it's like, what if I were to tell you that this one is this and this one is that? And I show them what the maps were. And so I was like, what conclusion can you what conclusion do you come up with as a result of this, or something to that effect? I didn't word it that way, but that was ultimately, I'm trying to get that higher order thinking. And every one of them, every class is like, they're the same. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. And the cargo that they were moving from country to country was also human beings. Wow.
Now, does that take away anything that the Columbian exchange routes showed as far as what was shipped back and forth? No. But now you know the truth, that it's not really the Columbian exchange, because Columbus wasn't the only one
doing
shipping.
I mean, when you talk about, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no,
when
you're
you
good.
When you talk about Columbus's manifest and his assessment of the natives in the country he quote unquote discovered, which was like, the islands, the West Indies.
Yeah, it was actually, he landed on a island occupied by the Arawak tribe, Arawak people.
Which
decimated
we weren't taught. We weren't taught that.
Yeah.
They were just natives. Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't have, so giving them that branding was like, they are things and they're insignificant. They didn't mean anything. Bam, name,
Well,
just
even
like,
even to that point, to back that up in his own journal, Columbus actually points out that these people are, fit for servitude. That they're so ignorant of weapons that one of them cut their hand on when they went to go grab my sword. They had no idea. So we could subjugate the entire people with 3 armed men. So
can I pause for a second? In my analyzation, in my assessment of this generation. Okay. I never forget, mind you, I'm 46 years old. I graduated from high school in 1993. I remember being in high school in my sophomore, junior year in high school. And one of the teachers had said Indian. And I distinctly remember 3 or 4 of us in the class were instantly offended. Not, mind you, it was like 2 whites and 2 blacks that were offended. So it wasn't a race thing. It was, we were offended because we had then been taught to convert that verbiage of Indian, because when they discovered America, they thought they were in India. Therefore, they had called the people Indians. And we instantly got upset because what we were taught was that they were Indians, but then we found out it was a mistake because they were in the wrong place. So then we were like, no, they're called Native Americans. Because up until that point, that was like, you lied to us. We were angry. You lied to us. You told us they were Indians. They're not. They're Native American. They're native to this country. This is their country. They're Cherokee and Black Hawk and so forth and so on. So you guys named them the wrong name. I remember this like over 30 years ago. Pissed off that you guys didn't, now we're looking at this new generation that has all of this information, and our generation and older is like, hey, why are these kids so hostile and angry? Because it's like from the Tooth Fairy, and I know we've mentioned this in from the Tooth Fairy to Santa Claus, blah, blah, blah. They're growing up and they're like, you lied to us. And so they're like quick to correct us because they're like, don't give us any more wrong information. And that's what I'm understanding when it comes to this generation. So the hostility stems from, so here we are now learning that it wasn't until you taught it to me, my brother, that he had a manifest on like already subjugating these people.
Mm-hmm.
That pisses me. Like, why are we
Mm-hmm.
talking about this sooner?
In fact, I think that was day 3.
Like, come on.
Day 3, he writes
like
that.
These people were excited to see other humans because in their culture of peace, harmony, and kindness, they wanted to give them what they saw.
Exactly. And they did. They were very generous.
Yes. And look what they
even according to Columbus's manifest, they were very generous people. But
and then we ask, why is this world so angry and hateful and bitter? I mean, literally, let's look at the situation. These were people living in relative harmony with the world, with nature.
Oh, yeah.
And then you bring on this barbaric brute, and it's like, well, we want it from brute force. No, this is where higher critical thinking comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that savage mentality, then you're going to display savage. And so you're glorifying this barbaric, ignorant ideology and saying it's great. No, we're now more intelligent. And we realize, no, that leads to war. That leads to famine because people aren't sharing what they have. How in this world we have stockpiles of food that we actually throw away, and in another section on this planet, people are starving? Yeah. I'm just saying, with all the modes of transportation, no one should be starving. No fundraising should be happening. You give what you have. And I mean,
yet we have billionaires playing astronaut.
Playing astronaut. What the fuck?
Anyway.
It's an adult show. Fucking right.
That's a whole nother conversation right there, though.
Wake the hell up. What you trying to do? Corrupt and manipulate something else? You animals. How dare we have things? How dare we have people literally living in the street with empty homes, empty places? What have we done to this country? This is what, and I'm going to keep saying it because people got to learn.
Yeah.
This is what the rich don't want us to do, because we're not going to glorify all these name brands, and we're not going to sit here and feed into you're better than me. No, are you kind? Are you good? Are you loving? That's what it boils down to. Are you compassionate? Jared's word. Are you compassionate? What's up? That's really what it boils down to. As a nurse, taking care of people that are dying, literally. I'm not going to, you're covered in cancer.
Yeah.
When you show them compassion, it's like you gave them $1 million. And it's free, Jared. It's fucking free.
Yep.
I don't have to bargain. I got it in me. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yep. We all do. It's just a matter of choice.
It is a choice. And it literally starts with learning the truth from the beginning. I am not suggesting to people to take away Santa Claus from their kids. I'm not.
Yeah.
Or the Tooth Fairy. But be ready. This is not but no. Did my kids grow up to a certain extent believing in Santa Claus, even though they identify with were they raised in a more Jewish home than they were a Christian home? Yes, because it's a fascist holiday and it's fun. But be prepared, like I had to figure it out for that conversation of this is why we did it. This is, and I did it purely off my own desire to make you feel excited about something. Please forgive me. This is how I was raised. This is all I know. So I need people to prepare for those conversations. I need people to understand that this is the responsibility that you have as a parent. So sorry.
No, you're good.
This is what's happening.
Yeah. And it blows my mind reading comments and posts about how teaching honest history, teaching the truth about racism and its role in this country's founding and development and establishment. Somehow that's indoctrination.
When I listen to some of the comments that you sent me on people saying you're race baiting, you're democratic, whatever, this, that, and the other, it's like you're not even acknowledging your lack of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Your critical thinking skills have ceased to exist at this point. To you, it is just black and white. There's no gray. There's no realization of a misunderstanding. No, it's not necessarily about race. We don't even have to. Let's talk about what happened when the founding fathers got together. Let's talk about the fact that the founding fathers were all property owners, and the fact that when voting and things like that first happened, it was only for the rich people. Now, let's talk about the indentured servants, the Irish, the Italian, all the other races that were here that were subjugated because, from Scandinavia, Polish, they were subjugated because they were like, you're an immigrant, you do this, you have no say. And so the expansion in this country is based off of seeking peace, solitude, and a piece of something. I want a piece of this country so I can have it as my own. And let's talk about the stories of how I told you when I drive across Pennsylvania, I'm just like, we go from the flatlands, relative flatlands, and Philadelphia to the hills, in the Allegheny County. And then it's like, oh my God, these people, all they had were like moccasins or whatever, like man-made boots. And they had to trek through this winter and summer through these lands and cutting down trees and, making their own way, digging up the roots from these, 1,000-year-old trees and stuff so they can farm land and move rocks and stuff like that. How many years did that take? How many decades did that take? Yeah. That's profane. That's profound.
Yeah.
And it's like they did it out of tenacity, drive, and focus, and love and desire to want to have something. And these are all people. We're not just talking about Black people, Asian people. We're talking about all of the Americans that came to this country and wanted a piece of something. The problem is we forget that, okay, so they were able to do it. Let's talk about what they had to go through, because everybody had something to go through. Okay, let's talk. I'm serious. Give everybody a voice, a time, a moment, and then realize now once you had it, what did you do? Knowing you had to work that hard for it, you got it. And when you saw somebody else being subjugated, what did you do? What did you do? Yeah, this is where the guilt comes in. Nobody's taken away from American history that the ancestors had to work hard for what they want. I enjoy that. That's why I've gone to Ellis Island. That's why I've driven across this country.
Yeah.
But when you saw that someone else was not getting the same, once you achieved fair treatment, once you fought for your fair treatment, did you fight for somebody else? Or did you continue to uphold it? Did you continue to say, I'm going to look down on another group?
Yeah.
Let's talk the truth. Yeah. See, we love the stories of inspiration and motivation and beauty, but I know for a fact to this day that when the Polish got here, some of the harshest jokes I've ever heard are about the Polish's inability to have a conception, to be unintelligent. And I'm Black, and I'm like, absolutely not. That's ignorant.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody wants to. We don't talk about why Italians were called wops on their clothes. We think it's a derogatory. It's without papers. They came. Some of them didn't have papers. Let's talk about Italian history. Why didn't these people have forms of documentation? Were they considered significant or insignificant? This is why teaching the truth is important, so people can understand.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Jared.
No, you're totally fine. No, to just kind of piggyback on that, and I think that I shared this with you once before, but not necessarily revelation, I guess more of a realization. Call it what you will, I don't care. But the question that I come up with is, if we truly learn from our mistakes, how great of a country are we really if those mistakes haven't been taught or are not being taught? How can you learn from the mistakes and yet claim greatness?
Right, exactly.
You've
been taught to turn
but Jared,
a blind eye.
What about the Civil Rights Act? What about well, let's talk about privatized prisons.
What? Isn't that slavery?
Yeah.
I'm just
Legal
saying.
slavery right there. Yeah, exactly what it is. Legal slavery.
How? They did the crime. Oh, well, when judges say you get 6 months and I get 6 years
for the
for the
exact
same
same
crime.
thing. Exactly. Yeah.
That's when, you don't want to talk about that, though. You don't talk about that.
No.
Why not? Because you've been taught to say, that's not my problem.
Exactly. We're past that. I wasn't directly involved. You know.
How is that so? Did he have a history? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
If he only complied, whatever.
The fabric of the world. But these people don't realize karma is real. And so you look at someone that's perceived as poor or possibly unintelligent, and they have a relative level of peace. For those that are running and chasing what they believe is fame, fortune, and glory, and living in trauma, whereas someone is content and satisfied with what they have and grateful. Really, what's more? What's more important? Hey, I'm not mad at the rich folks, okay, wanting to go and conquer other planets and discover things. No, I'm serious. Thank you. Because some of them, it was because of penicillin. You feel me? Like I think about, well, penicillin was discovered because, I mean, it may not have been a rich person. I mean, we can go into the history and education as to how that derived, but it took people with means to do. So I'm not mad. The fact of the matter is, also use your platform to promote and support positive change so that even you wealthy be content and happy, and even me poor be content and happy. Just saying.
Yeah. Excuse me. No, you're right. But then again, to your point, that's where learning the history comes into play. Excuse me. It's
learning your history. Learning your history.
Because where we're at today is actually a result of decisions made beyond our control generations ago.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and by we, where we're at today, I mean by we as collectively as a nation. So
thank you. Yeah. That's my brother right there.
Not individually. So let's clarify that.
Let's broaden our horizon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get past yourself. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's not just about you. That's okay. Calm down.
It's all right. Of us.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all in this together.
Yeah. So. We're breathing the air. We're all breathing this air. Let's share nicely. Damn.
No, exactly.
So how many of these rallies are you intending on doing?
Well, this is my second one.
Blacked out.
No, you're good. This is my second one. The first one was held on June 12th, and that was actually a collaborative effort among other educators and among other individuals who were holding their own protests and rallies and whatnot, demonstrations across the nation. This one I'm doing my kind of by myself, but Zen Education Project is gracious enough to kind of not necessarily sponsor me, but kind of help promote me, or not me, but the rally.
So I guess my question is, is there a website now being dedicated? Another one in August. Is there a website dedicated where we can go to and find your resources so that people can come to the rally, so we can support, maybe even start writing letters to the government or Board of Education, and inciting change, invoking change? What can we do?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing you can do is go to the Zen Education Project website, and there is a link there where you can sign the petition, or sign the petition stating that you pledge to teach the truth about our history and the role of racism it had. So there's that. And there's also a lot of other resources there that they have available on that website. As far as my specific event, it's made public. You can find it on Facebook. I know that a colleague of mine has promoted on Insta. So you can find it there on Insta, and it's Honest History Rally. Let me see. There we go. Can't quite get you're missing the HON there, but Honest History Rally. That's happening this Saturday. in front of, last time we did it, we were at Trail of Tears marker for the northern route in Springdale.
That's significant for those that don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in
That's
fact,
pretty important.
just right up the road was the Fitzgerald farmhouse, where it was that was a regular stop for soldiers along that route.
God bless.
Soldiers escorting indigenous people, mind you.
Terrible.
Yeah. But that's nothing derogatory towards the name. I'm not meaning anything by that. It's just, that's fact. That's what it is.
It means something.
I'm not saying, you draw your own conclusions. To me, it's a significant historical site. Much like the Trail of Tears marker is. This next one on July 24 is going to be in front of what was once an exclusively white migrant farmer camp.
So you're talking about like people from Eastern European countries? European countries?
No, well, white folks that lived in Arkansas or around surrounding areas. Mm-hmm. It was a migrant farmer camp that held no, according to a newspaper clipping that was, I think it was 1965, because the camp closed down in 1968, and is now low-income housing division, with some of the original buildings that were on the camp still existing. They just remodeled it and renovated it. So there's still some history on those grounds. In addition, just aside from the fact that it was a migrant farmer camp that held no Mexicans, according back to the newspaper clipping, no Mexicans, no Negroes, and folk like that were not encouraged to come.
Okay, it was real different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a history lesson, right? That's another little chapter in the book. Yep, that's interesting to talk about.
Yeah, so there's a stretch of road that has a pretty large public sidewalk that will be right there in front of the housing unit, but will be on public land. And we do have a city permit, just saying. I am on the up and up on that, just in case. Yeah, no doubt. I'm covering my bases here. But yeah, we're going to be right there in that stretch of road in front of there, not protesting, just bringing awareness to passersby about these legislative attempts and promoting honest history and teaching the truth.
So can you create this little image with the links to the Zion, right?
Zinn,
sorry.
Zinn, named after Howard Zinn, who wrote People's History of the United States.
The Zinn Project, so that we can start sharing it and get others involved, and
absolutely,
see how your tactic, for lack of a better word, your approach to this project is now hopefully it'll get global and national, and people will start waking up and having these discussions, possibly town halls. We keep talking about that. We've got so much homework, and I mean, but like I said, we talked earlier, I'm settled. Look, guys, we needed the break.
Yeah,
things are happening again, that are really concrete, and I'm very happy, and I'm back to doing what I love to do with my brother, and I want to support, and I got to see him sometime this summer. So that's why I'm like, give me some dates so I can figure out these flights so I can get out of here for at least a day or two to see my family in Arkansas, and then get back up to the East Coast. So I can, be out there rallying with them to show my support. Yeah, and we'll keep you guys posted, and then maybe possibly do a side by side, across.
No doubt, actually go podcast. Full live. Yeah, full
right.
live right
full
there.
Live.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, another exciting endeavor that we got going on is I met with a couple of colleagues, a couple of other teachers in the district that share similar views as we do, and promoting equality and equity in the classroom and in the school building. And so we're kind of, I guess, forming a we're calling, so right now it's Educators Equity Coalition.
Uh-huh.
And it's a group of educators that are pushing for honest conversation, growth, and then, action within the building. What policies, if anything, can we help, form? And just it encompasses quite a bit, but ultimately just a group of educators, like-minded educators, that want to promote honest history, who want to promote equity within the classroom, who want to and equality, not just equity, but equality within the classroom and within the school building, and just make it more welcoming and inviting for all students.
Yeah.
Where everybody's, where you get there's representation. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
There's representation across the board for all cultures.
Representation and discussion, I'm thinking, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Only because it's like, and then to show the parallel, to show how they're the same, but show that like, okay, and with respect, because people get into this pissing contest of, well, my people had it worse. And it's like, atrocity is an atrocity, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
A massacre, denial of, all of it is not good. The fact, and it's not to say, this is not to shut people up. It's to say, now that we've acknowledged that, then let's equally look at people, just like I talked about, Italian Americans and Polish Americans. And like, these are Irish Americans. These are real stories that have happened in this country. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, let's look at them on an individual basis. I mean, it's very easy to be like black, white, because it's so obvious. I mean, we could talk about the triumphs and the rewards and the acknowledgements of surpassing, in spite of, the degradation and the horrible atrocities that have happened. But at the same time, we should acknowledge that these atrocities have happened, so we can see the growth. And so that, what is that quote you quoted today on Facebook, so that we don't commit it again?
Yeah, let me get it. History is not there for you to like or dislike. It is there for you to learn from it. And if it offends you, even better, because then you are less likely to repeat it. It's not yours to erase. It belongs to all of us.
Exactly. Period. And that in itself is brilliant.
And it's even better. I take it a little bit further than that. In my history, and in all of my history classes this past year, one of the bigger resources we used was bighistoryproject.org. Curated, everything's done with historians who've done their research. Everything's been validated. But we started off before the early civilizations that's presented in the history books. It started out the beginning of mankind and the origin of mankind. And I think I said this before last year when we first started out, if not somewhere in the fall semester. But all of mankind originated in Africa, from literally a group of 3,000 people. Imagine that. 3,000. The entire people. 8 billion people on this planet originated from 3,000 off the continent of Africa.
And look what a variety of beauty from one complexion to another.
And I will say this just for clarification for someone who wants to go and research that and double check me or fact check me if I'm wrong in that assessment. My point being, though, is still valid that all of mankind originated on the continent of Africa. We're all descendants from individuals off the continent of Africa.
So we're cousins. We're all cousins.
If you go back far enough, absolutely.
sick joke just popped in my head. But
no, you're talking like 7th cousin, 12th remove, whatever. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
you're going way back. So, but point being, that is true, though. I mean,
we all have a lot of genetic similarities.
mm-hmm.
Our genetic makeup is real.
Yeah, and even in that big history project, there was something that they actually did talk about the genetics of how similar we are. Like there's more diversity in 1% of chimpanzees than there are in the entire human race.
Wow, exactly.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right, so I'm at 10% on my battery.
Yeah, we're about to get, and that's about time as it is anyway.
Sorry, yeah.
No, you're good.
My thing just popped up again.
No, you're good. We're right about that. We're right at about that time anyway. So, that being said, guys, it was a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed
it. Yes. We look forward to your input.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Please join the conversation. You can email us at tntwithmj@gmail.com. That's TNT with MJ at gmail.com. You can hit us up on our Facebook page, TNT with MJ. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page. I think that one's The New Theory, not all caps, but there's no space. It's capital T, capital N, capital T. So TNT, The New Theory on YouTube. I think can't quite, and then you can find us on Twitter. That one's weird, but nonetheless, you can find us on Twitter, MJ TNT with or something like that. But anyway, enough of that.
And we're on Facebook too.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. You can find us TNT with MJ, W/MJ, where we post all our episodes. That's where we kind of keep up with our current affairs and everything that's going on. So that being said, again, we hope you enjoyed the conversation. Monet, It's been a pleasure. I look forward to the next time. That being said, I'm going to leave it to you for the final word.
Well, I would just like to say thank you for welcoming us back. And for those that are just visiting us for the first time, we look forward to participating with you in our conversation. We do want you to email us. We do want you to say, hey, can we be on the podcast with you? We want you to be a part of the conversation. Yes, for sure. So that we can all grow from it and be enlightened and enriched. And with that being said, I always say, I love you and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye.